Hi mathematicians, we're going to be working on lesson 2.2 and it's going to be focusing a lot on slope, y-intercepts, and on the equation written in slope-intercept form. And there's a few pictures that will help you understand some of this, but I'm also going to walk through this information with you. So this is one of the parts we're going to do where we put the change in y over the change in x. And your actual problems will give you graphs or tables to look at to find the information. So I'm going to work through one of those with you to start. So if you were given this line and you're asked to find the equation, the slope, the y-intercept, all those components that go with this line, the first thing you want to do is find the point where this line crosses the y-axis. And remember, the y-axis is this vertical one and the x-axis is the horizontal one. So the point where it crosses is 0 on the x. Anytime the x is 0, the y value is the intercept. So we have 0, -3 as the ordered pair for this point. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my chart up here. 0, -3 can be one of the points in the table. It is also the y-intercept, -3 is, and it is one of the points on the line. Now there are lots and lots of points on this line. That just happens to be one of the ones I found today. So I found another spot where the line that is drawn crosses the grid lines on the graph, and that is right here. So I don't want one where it's kind of in between, like right here. This one doesn't exactly come to the corners of the grid lines, but this one does. And I found that that is over 2 and down 6. So the ordered pair for that point is 2, -6. I'm going to go ahead and write that in my table as well. So it's 2, -6. So I could look for patterns right here. I'm noticing this is going up by 2, and right now this is going down by 3, and I probably could find some other points on this line just by looking at my table, but I don't need to do that at this point. Okay, so the equation we're going to be using is the slope-intercept form equation, and it looks like this. It's probably familiar to you. M is slope and B is the y-intercept. So slope is the change that happens over time. I'm going to help you get that in just a moment. And the y-intercept is when x is 0, whatever y is equal to. So we already know that this B right here is -3. So when we do our equation minute, we're going to write a -3 right there. Okay, let's first find our slope for this equation. We want the change in y over the change in x. I'm going to pick one of my y values. I'll pick the -6 first. It doesn't matter. And then I want to put a minus sign between. It's always a minus sign. Then I'm going to put the other y. The other y is -3. So I've got the change in y over the change in x. Now I started with -6, so I also have to start with regular 2 because it's the paired number that goes with -6. Then I'm going to put my minus sign because once again it's always minus, always subtraction. And now I want the number that's paired with -3, which is 0. When I go ahead and do this math, I'll end up with my slope. So these two minus signs become a plus. So this problem is basically 6 plus 3 over 2 minus 0. If you owe someone $6, you have $3 in your pocket to pay them, you'll still owe them some money, you'll still owe them -3. 2 minus 0 is 2. So my slope is -3 over 2. The negative sign can go with the whole fraction. It doesn't just belong to the 3. You can write it in front of the 3 or you can write it in front of the entire fraction. Either way is fine. Okay, let's pull all this information together. So if I want to know the slope of this line, my slope is -3 over 2. My y-intercept, and I'm not going to write that all out with this fat marker, but the y-intercept is -3. We already established that earlier in the table and looking at the line on the graph. So now we're ready to actually write our equation. So we're going to keep the y, keep the equal. M is slope. Slope is negative 3 over 2. And then we have plus negative 3. So I can do plus negative 3, but that's weird to have those two signs together. So the negative overrides the positive, so I can just write it as a negative 3. It is not wrong. Excuse me, it's not wrong either way. So this is my equation for this line. This is my y-intercept, and this is my slope. You need to find y-intercept and slope first before you find the equation, because you'll use those in your equation. Okay, I want to share with you something we haven't talked about yet. We have talked about that this is a positive slope and this is a negative slope, and you're expected to still remember that. So looking at the first quadrant, if it goes up, it's positive. Looking at the first quadrant, if it's going downhill, it's negative. However, this is new, at least with me. You may have done it with another teacher, I'm not certain. So if you have a horizontal line in a graph, that is called a zero slope. Okay, so it doesn't go up or down, it's just 0. So anytime a line goes across, it's going to be a 0 slope. What that will look like in a table is y will always be 2. So you might have a table, and for your y value, in this case, it would always be 2 for every one of them. And these might be different numbers. Oops. That was supposed to be a 4. But the y would always be 2. So if you see that in one of your tables, you know your slope is 0. Okay, the other thing that may be new for you is that a vertical line is called an undefined slope. And once again, in a table, your x value would always be 2, and your y value might change. But your x value would always be 2. It looked like that in a table. So if it's a vertical line, it is undefined. If it's a horizontal line, it's slope. All right, now let's actually set you up for your assignment. Now that you know those parts, it might be pretty quick for you. All right. So the first thing you need to do is set up your page. We're doing 2.2. I accidentally wrote the 7th grade's shape and design, but you guys are actually thinking with mathematical models. Write your name up there. You can write the date too if you'd like. For part A, I kind of combined all of it together. You can set your book up this way, or if you have another way to set it up, that's fine as well. So for A, you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to, which is all of them, and you're going to look at these graphs. And for those graphs, you're going to find the y-intercept, the slope, and then write the equation. For all of the equations, you'll always have the y, the equal, the x. The plus you can keep, or you can change it to a minus if the number's negative. But it will be set up like this in every case, and all you have to do is plug the y-intercept in at the end, plug the slope in the middle, and you'll have your equation. So you're going to do exactly on these 4 what I did on this example. You can also, I didn't mention this, but you could also count the slope. If you wanted to count the slope, you would do rise over run. So this rise, it goes up 1, 2, 3. So it goes up 3. And from this point to here is a negative 2. It's going backwards 1, backwards 2. So if you count it on the line, you would still end up with a slope that's the same. So if you are more confident counting, you're welcome to do that as well. Okay, that is all of A. And then for B, instead of looking at a line, it's asking you to look at a table. If you would like to graph these on a line, if that helps you, you're welcome to do that, but you can also just look at the table. So you're going to be looking at the rate of change here by picking 2 points and writing them like I did here, where you write the y values on top, the x values on bottom, do the math to get the slope. That will help you with slope. Then the y-intercept is whichever one has the x is 0, you want the other number. X is 0, you want the other number. This one doesn't have it. You have to calculate what y would be when x is 0. Okay, so the way I set that up in here is for you to write the equation, keeping y and x and the plus and equal in the equation, and then it asks you for the rate of change for 2. Well, the rate of change is slope. You already had to find slope to put right here, so whatever you put here is the same answer here. Rate of change and slope are the same thing. C is wanting to know whether this new picture they give you right here has a slope that is larger than or smaller than these slopes up here. So find this slope, compare it to these two, and tell whether it's greater or less than. Okay, part C, it's going to give you 2 points on a line. It gives you these 2 points. It wants to know the slope and to find some other points on the line. So to find slope for C, you're going to set it up in the same way. Put the y values on the top, the x values in the same order on the bottom, do your math, and find slope. You may also put your points into a table if that helps you. Find the rate of change in the table if you'd like to, and that can help you find 2 more points using the slope. So you want to find slope, find 2 more points, and those points will be ordered pairs. You'll have an x and a y, an x and a y. Okay, and then number 3 asks you for C, whether or not Yvonne and Jackie are correct. They think any 2 points on a line can be used to find slope. Is that true? Yes or no, and why? So I set it up, yes or no, they are or not correct because, and would do some explaining. D, I'm not asking you to complete, but E, I am. E is asking about these 2 pictures right here. So I've already helped you with that. Okay, so that was a very long video. I'm sorry it was so long. There's a lot of things I want to make sure you understand very thoroughly in this lesson. Please complete lesson 2.2. Snap a photo of your page and upload it into your assignment as usual. Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you later, guys.